So you want to create an interdimensional portal using Adobe After Effects, but you don't want to use any expensive plugins? Well, I've got you. You need two separate video files recorded in the exact same manner. Just make sure that you're recording them in the same motion, the same camera settings, and also at the same height. Alright, so let's jump into Adobe After Effects and get started. But before we continue, I'm accepting new students in the Epic VFX Academy for the last time ever. Click the link in the description to become my student before I close the doors forever. So once you have imported your video files, you can just drag and drop them into a new composition. So it takes the same values as your video clip in account. And then we need to check for the length here. It's 15 seconds. I think that's perfect. And now we need to track this footage so we can stick the portal here in the center. So I will do this and let it run in the background because it's just analyzing and we don't need to do anything from here. So let it just do its thing. And then we're going to create a new composition. And this composition we're going to call Portal Design. So click OK. And then we are going to right click, New, and create a new solid layer. And this is going to be our portal. For the portal, I'm going for a white color and click OK. Alright, so before we continue, let's talk a little bit about today's video sponsor, AutoCut. AutoCut is here to revolutionize your video editing. It's fully empowered with AI and it allows you to automatically add captions to your videos with a breeze. But not just any captions. You can highlight the words automatically, change the design to your preferences, and the coolest part is that it comes with a plugin for Adobe Premiere Pro, so you can just use it straight within the software. And that's not everything, they have a lot more to offer. They allow you to animate these captions, to auto-cut silences, auto-cut podcasts, auto-zooms to your videos, auto-cut repeat, and also it auto-resizes your videos for different social media. So if you want to improve your video editing workflow, then definitely check them out with the link in the description below, and let's continue with our video. Next, I want to choose my pen tool right here, and in the center of my comp, I'm going to click and drag down holding Shift. And then when we have this, we can now zoom out a little bit and hold Alt and take this one here and just twist it around or turn it around to the exact same position as the one on the top. So now we have the same kind of curve that we're going to be creating. So hold Shift and click and drag it to look like this. And then we're going to click on the final one. And we also just have to bring this one down here. And then we can press M on the keyboard and click on the stopwatch for the mask path. But before we do that, just move 3 seconds in time and click on the stopwatch to create a keyframe. Then we can go back to the beginning of our composition. And what I will do here is take this one and bring it in. And then this one, bring it in. And so now we have this kind of opening portal. But it's a little bit too linear, so I'm going to select my 2 keyframes and then right-click Keyframe Assistance, Easy Ease. And then I will go into the graph editor while selecting the mask path, click here, and then select this last point and hold Shift, drag this to the left so we have a slow stop. And so now we have something like this. So for me, this is working out. Now let's go back to our main comp and see how our progression is for the track. It's almost done. So let's continue designing our portal. Click on the portal layer and then hold Ctrl-Shift-C. Move all the attributes, and this is going to be my portal mask. Then I will duplicate my portal mask in the project manager, edit, duplicate, and then bring it back in here, and then open it up. And this time we want to click on the portal, edit, duplicate, and then we are going to use the track matte option. If you don't see that, you can toggle the switches right here or press F4 on the keyboard and just drag onto the portal above it. And just invert it by clicking here. So now we don't see anything anymore. So we're going to select both layers. That's just basically because it's using this mask to show or reveal itself, but we inverted it. So it's kind of just removing itself. So now if we press F on the keyboard, or we just open up the entire mask options here, we can play with the mask feather and the mask expansion to get a nice kind of ring around our portal. So if we increase this feather, it's going to be the inside. And if we increase this feather, it's going to be the outside. So maybe you want the outside to be sharp. Maybe you want the inside to be rather sharp and the outside rather soft. So I'm going for something like this here. a little soft outside and a sharper inside, but not perfectly sharp. So we have a little bit of life in there. And then you can also play with this here. So if you want to see more of it, you can play with the expansion. Same goes for this if you want like a bigger radius here. So that's going to be completely up to you. Maybe I'm going to lower it a little bit on the inside here so we have a little bit more of a visual look to it. And there we go. So we have the second mask here, and this is looking fine to me. So now we have our two designs. One is going to be the inside and one is going to be our outside. By the way, as most of you know, for the past few years, I have been mentoring creators just like you all around the world to create epic videos from start to finish without feeling overwhelmed. I honestly had such an amazing time to personally teach everything that I have learned over the past 15+ years, but I have decided to close down the Epic VFX Academy. So for the last time ever, which is actually this week, I'm going to be opening the doors. So if you would like to grab the last chance to become my student and get personal guidance to create Hollywood level videos at home without feeling overwhelmed, then make sure to check out the epicvfxacademy.com. The link will also be in the description below. This is going to be the last time, so maybe you still want to grab your spot, and I hope to see you on the inside. So what I will do is take the outside here and I'm going to right click, new, and choose new solid. This is going to be our noise map, and we're going to add a fractal noise. I'm going to press Ctrl spacebar, which reveals the console effects. If you do not have that, you can go over to the effects and presets, or just go under effects and search it and just type it here. It's the exact same principle, but you can download this for free on videocopilot.net, and it's a really great tool to just improve your productivity in Adobe After Effects. So I'm going to add a fractal noise map here. And the first thing that we'll do is change the fractal type to dynamic progressive. Noise type, we're going for spline. And then hold Alt and click on the stopwatch for the evolution. Here we are going to write a simple expression like time times 150. And then I'm going to open up the subsettings here and also Alt click on the sub rotation. And then write time times 200 to get a different value. Then I'm going to alt-click on the sub-offset, and here we're going to do something different. We're going to write an expression, but first we need to open up the brackets, and then we're going to write 0, time times minus 50, and then close the bracket. So that's taking the first value to be 0, and the second value, it's just going to progress every second with a value of 50. So, and also negative, so it moves up. And so we have something like this. If you want it to go faster, you can just increase this number right here, and you will see that the subsetting is going to be increased. So it's really going to look like there is a lot more depth to your smoke using the subsettings. So once you're satisfied with the result of your fractal noise map, what you can now do is parent it to the portal mask. And now you will see something like this. If you want the portal map to be a little bit softer, what you can do is add a roughen edges effect to it and increase the border to 30, the edge sharpness to 0.3 or 3, and just increase the complexity overall. And now we can play a little bit with the settings here. Like that, you get a little bit more of imperfect parts, maybe even lower the sharpness to 15. If you want, you can even duplicate your portal mask one more time in the project manager, portal mask, duplicate it, and then open this up. And again, select both of the layers, press M twice on the keyboard rapidly. That's going to open up all the mask options. And so here we can lower maybe our feather here for the mask. So we have like a harder rim, and maybe just have something like this. And that way you can create some kind of inside energy, which is going to add more depth to it. For example, something like this. And you can even use the same noise map by duplicating it, bringing it on top, and now selecting this mask here. But now we can go into the noise map and just lower the scale to something like 25, so we have more detail in here. So this is going to be our portal design. It's looking pretty cool. I think this is already looking great. Let's go back to our main composition and see how our track is doing. Once your 3D track is done, you can highlight your 3D camera track and you should be able to see these points. You can also change the size here. And if by any chance you work with footage that you don't feel like it's quite right just yet, you can always go in here and check on detailed analysis and try again. I would just advise you to try it first without and then activate it only when it is necessary, because in a lot of cases, sometimes the easy one is better than the advanced one. It really differs for scene to scene. So now we need to choose a location where we want our portal to be at. So around right here, you can hover and you will see this little circle appear on the ground. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to set ground plane and origin. And after that, I'm going to the same one or on average on the same location, right click, create solid and camera. So now we have a solid over there, which is representing its position. So now we can import our portal design into our final comp. And we can toggle the switches and turn or activate 3D mode for this layer. And then press P on the keyboard for the solid that we have just created with the camera tracker and just copy all the settings with Ctrl C or just copying over there and just pasting the same values for the portal design. Now hold Shift and just increase the size of the portal to your likings, and you can also drag it up using the Y arrow. Just note to try and move it up or down. That's not going to affect the depth of the portal. So now we can delete this solid layer. We have our portal here. So if you think it's still a little bit too light, you can't really see it, what you can use is an exposure. And with the exposure map, you can just increase this until you have a nice and bright portal. Something like this looks cool. Now I'm going to add a tritone effect to this, and I'm going to choose a blue color. So we have a nice blue portal. And for any reason, it gives me yellow. So I'm just going to place it in front of the exposure and then also lower the exposure so it's not too obvious. Something like this should be fine. And also toggle the switches and make sure that the blending mode is set to an additive. So another thing that we can do is add a solid composite effect to our portal here and turn this into a black color. Because we're working with a screen blending mode, you will not see this. But it does help when we want to add some glow. I'm actually going to be using Perfect Glow. This is a free preset that you can download over at creatorgalaxy.com. It's a preset that I have made. I just think it works better than the regular glow and gives nicer results. But also make sure in the project manager that your bits per channel are set to 32 bits instead of 8, or 16 also works. So you can play with these two, but you're going to get way nicer results in your glows that way. So now we're going over to the glow, and I'm going to hold Ctrl and just lower the intensity value until I'm satisfied. And same goes for the radius. Just increase it a little bit, play around until you get a nice and rich glow that you like. Now, this is a really cool portal. The only problem here is that we don't see the background now. So now what we need to do is import the other file. So right here we have the other video file, which we are going to add to our scene. I'm going to press T on the keyboard and lower the opacity so we can still see the other video behind it. And as you can see, these are two different video clips, so we have a different horizon. I'm going to click on the horizon and just drag it around the same shape or size at the same distance as the horizon in my one clip. I'm also going to size it down until I can see that it's covered by the top part here. Maybe just scale it down a little bit more and just replace this horizon to be similar to the original footage. Something like this is something that we might notice. And so once you're satisfied, we can now duplicate our portal design. So Ctrl D, and then we're going to use our first mask here, portal mask. Hold Alt and just drag it over the portal design while it is also highlighted. Make sure it's also highlighted, and now that is going to replace this video. And so now we should see, well, a big glowing ball, because we need to delete all of the effects, of course. And we're going to set it to normal. So now what we can do is use our video clip and use it as a track matte on our portal. So now we can see our video clip through it. So the opacity is still set at 60. I'm going to increase it back to 100. But now you should see that the portal is actually affecting the way we see this video clip. So now we see something behind it, which looks great. If you want, you can click on your portal mask and add a fast box blur. If you still want to kind of blur the edges a little bit to blend in a little bit better. And also make sure that the portal blend or the portal design is above this clip. So now we need to do one more thing, and that's also turn this layer into a 3D layer and just copy the position of the portal design. So Control C and then press P on the keyboard here for our video clip and just paste the same value. You will see that the scale will change from your video clip, so you will have to redo the process of just scaling it up a little bit and then replacing the horizon here. So now the horizon is way too big, it's not realistic, so we have to just bring it down to where it belongs, I think. Okay, so now we have our portal, we have it opening, and we also have our video clip behind it. One more thing that I would like to do is add in some particles. So to do that, I'm going to create a new portal, new solid, rename it to particles. And I'm going to bring it all the way on top here. And I'm going to add CC particle world. So this is the 3D particle system that is within Adobe After Effects. We're going over to the grid and we're going to uncheck grid. Then we go over to the producer. So I'm just going to move it on the Z until it kind of matches my portal. And then also move it up so it's in the center of it. And now we can start designing it a little bit. So I'm going to increase the radius on the Z, on the X, I'm sorry. And also on the Y, a little bit on the Z as well. Not too much. So we have some depth in our particles. And that should look all right. Then we can go into the physics. And instead of the animation being explosive, we're going for twirl. And also the velocity, I'm going to set it to 3, so it's a lot slower. The gravity to 0. And now we can jump into particle, change the particle type to faded sphere, set the bird size to be smaller, maybe 0.05, and then the depth size 0.3. And the bird color, I'm going to choose something that is closer to my actual portal. So I'm going for blue colors here. And so now if we solo this, can we still see our particles? We cannot, so maybe increase the size anyway. It's in a 3D space. So now we have some nice particles in there. Again, we can apply the same method with the solid composite effect and then make it black. And if you want, you can just copy the glow settings here. So those are 4 glow settings that you have to copy, all of these, Control C, and paste it on our particles. And now you'll see that we will get a glow on those particles. Maybe you will have to go down to the glow and just increase the intensity slightly, not too much. Let's say that this looks good. I'm going to fit it up to 100% so we can see the particles in the background. Toggle the switches, change the blending mode to screen, and unsolo this layer. So you might not really see all the glow effects in their full glory, and that's usually because your scene is very bright. So if you want, you can also turn your scene a lot darker by adding an adjustment layer and bringing it below your portal design and particles, and just add a curves and a tint effect. For the tint, I'm going for a blue tone, something like this. Set it to 70% and maybe lower here the brightness and contrast. And there we go. You go in Projects, Portal Design, and then Control D to duplicate it. So you have a second one, and then duplicate this one in here, and Alt, drag it on top so we have a variation of it. And then jump into the Portal Design here, and maybe change the noise maps a little bit. So maybe go over here and say, okay, I want a 200 scale. And for this one, I want a 50% scale, maybe change some other settings, and then go back to your final result. And instead of having blue, you can choose a different color, like maybe pink. And let's see what that does. It's a little bit too intense. So in this case, we can lower our exposures for both of these, because now we have two that are actually increasing their own brightness here. So you can also create an adjustment layer and call this displacement. You can also use a turbulence displacement effect, for example, and just displace around the portal. Press F, feather it a little bit. And then the size go for like 25 with an amount of like 20. And then alt click on the stopwatch, time times 100, which is going to add a little bit of an animation, but that way you get some kind of warping effect on your portal. You have multiple ways of creating this. I just wanted to create a quick way so we don't take too much time here. And at the end, I would just animate the mask a little bit. Create a mask like that. So now we will have some warping going on, which looks cool as well. And so finally, you can do one more thing, and that's adding reflections to your floor. To do that, I'm actually going to duplicate my original video clip and bring it all the way on top. And I'm going to delete the 3D camera tracker. I'm also going to apply a tint effect, so it's just black and white. And then I'm going to add a curves effect so I can play around with the contrast here of the floor. So I'm really going to concentrate on just the floor here. And I just want to get some nice detail there, a lot of contrast, a lot of depth in it. But I also don't want to go too bright so we don't get like overexposed areas. So I think this could look potentially cool. And we're going to use this as a map for our reflection. So this is going to be our reflection map. So I'm going to hold Ctrl Shift and then press C. Move all the attributes into a new composition. And we are going to call this reflection map. Then for the portal design here, we're going to duplicate once more a portal design. Bring it all the way on top. And this time I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees forward like this. And then bring it down to the floor. Maybe move it forward just a tad. And this time we're going to add a blur effect called compound blur. And for the blur layer, we want to use that reflection map that we just created. And we can also disable this reflection map so we do not see it. And if you enter an amount like 200, you will start seeing that the blur map gets diffused using that blur map, and you will get nicer looking results. So if we solo this, you can see a nice difference here. You can also invert the blur map if you're not satisfied with it. I think this looks cool. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate my camera because this is a 3D layer. I'm going to bring it up and select both of these layers and then layer, pre-compose, reflections 3D and click OK. So now we have our reflections, and it will also be animated if we open this up in 3D space. As you can see, it will move along with the camera. So that's why I imported the camera as well. Now what we can do is add a solid composite like we did before. So we fill everything with black. That's just going to get rid of any problems, and then change it to an additive. And if we unsolo this, you should see a nice reflection map on the floor now. All right, so now we have something like this here. And just one thing that I would like to do with these two colors here that we have the pink one and the blue one. And just to mix them a little bit better, I'm just going to add a new solid, which is going to be my smoke mask, let's call it. And then I'm going to add another fractal noise here. And in this case, I'm just going to increase the contrast and maybe go into the transform and just lower the scale a little bit. And again, we can change the noise to spline and dynamic progressive. You can play with the invert or not, whether you like it or not. Maybe let's try an inverted version for this one. And so now we have a black and white map, which we can use to show the pink version. So the pink version is only going to come true wherever it's white, and wherever it's black, it's not. So to do that, we have this track matte option again. We are going to pick our smoke mask and just click once on this icon so it takes the luminance colors of our scene. And so now we have this nice blue and this pink that is coming through a little bit. Of course, if you go back to your smoke mask and play with the settings here, you can see more or less. Maybe you want more contrast here. And like this, you're getting or introducing different colors of that portal. So that's the way to get that. And then one more thing that I would like to do is make sure that the second clip that is behind my portal is actually above the layer that is blacking or darkening my scene here. So this is for the background. And so to finish everything off, I would like to add one final adjustment layer and call this glow, and add the perfect glow effect again to this layer, but just an overall look. Maybe go for a radius of 40 and then just lower the intensity until it's not too much. We just want some kind of glow appearing everywhere. So if you turn it on and off, we do want to get some kind of effect. Maybe lower it to 0.02, just very subtle, but it does give the extra effect here. All right, and that brings us to this final result. Enjoy. I'm accepting new students in the Epic VFX Academy for the last time ever. Click the link in the description to become my student before I close the doors forever. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe consider giving it a like, and also be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay notified when I upload new videos. Apart from that, I just hope to see you in the next one. Until then, create epic videos.